Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Brian Hill and Gavin Murphy. We're back for another episode 6 of Bleacher Boys Sports Podcast. Gav, how are you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm living the dream, man. Out here working. Weather's been crazy, but we're thriving. We're surviving. I know. Glad to hear we talked previous to this or prior to this. I'm glad to hear that you guys are safe and everything's good out there. I know you guys had some scares, but yeah, man, everything's good. Baseball season is upon us. We got Final Four. It's a lot of stuff going on, man. So I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good as well, brother. Thanks for asking. And before I dive into this, make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the video. Share it with your buddies, share it with your friends. We're trying to get out there. We really think we bring a little bit of value to the space we're trying to occupy. So y'all sharing our content and liking and commenting really helps get us in the algorithm. But from there, man, yeah, we actually had a few tornadoes roll through the Mid-South here on Thursday night and even yesterday as well. A couple of cities like Grand Junction and Selmer have been pretty devastated, pretty flattened out. A few confirmed deaths. It skipped over my little town of Middleton, but I know even through, I don't know if you've seen pictures from Memphis, but all right, so there are multiple areas in Cordova, East Memphis, downtown that are so flooded that some people are kayaking. There are people boating. I've seen a few people like physically in a boat, like going down like regular streets in Memphis that you drive through all the time. There are complete roads like Riverdale that are just completely shut down from end to end. And I want to say last count I saw there was like 90 plus cars stuck underwater in Memphis from people who were trying to drive through a road or a back road and got completely stuck underwater, including like I've seen even a few jacked up like trucks and like Range Rovers and Toyota Land Cruisers that can normally make it through that kind of stuff that didn't make it out.
Yeah.
So those people definitely lost on that. They lost on that bid and that fight. Let's first of all let's dive into, man, the Final Four. We had
Yeah.
Florida versus Auburn, and we had Houston versus Duke. Let's go Florida Auburn first. Well, in both games, man, both of the winning teams were down at half, and both of them came back and made a late charge in different routes to pull off their win. But Florida pulling off the win versus Auburn, who was my pick. I believe Florida was your pick. So you
hmm
definitely seem like you have the upper hand on that one. Whereas Duke fell to Houston in the upset for Houston. So man, what are your takes? What did you love to see? What were you surprised by? How did you feel about the Final Four going into the national championship game?
Yeah, man, it's interesting. Florida, I watched it, sat down, got to watch it, made sure I was home to watch that game. Bruce Pearl's a great coach. I don't think anybody can deny that. I think that they are like right there on the cusp. I would like to see it. I mean, of course, we kind of touched on this in the last episode with the SEC kind of being dominant right now. I love it. Of course, being a Florida guy, the Walter Clayton kid, dude. I mean, that kid has just ice in his veins. I mean, and actually, funny enough, he went to the same high school I went to
Oh wow,
in Bartow,
there
Florida.
you go.
Yeah, so he's originally from Lake Wales, went to Bartow. But yeah, man, that kid has just got ice in his veins. There just must be something in the water down there in Bartow. I don't know. That's what I'm going to say
Yeah.
anyway. But no, man, I think Florida is poised, man. I think they have what it takes to win. I think it's interesting. It always seems like the top player that year in college basketball never gets the chip. I don't know. It just seems like recency bias, I guess. It feels like that. The landscape has changed, though, man. Like, you're going to start to see this. You're going to start to see the number one seeds being in the Final Four with NIL, transfer portal, everything. That's what you're going to see. I love it. I think it makes for a better March Madness. The one thing I will say, we didn't get to see as many upsets this year. But I think as a whole, you saw a lot better games. And especially now when people are really, really tuning in to what's going on, they're getting their money's worth.
Yeah.
Like, they're not watching blowouts. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I like that for college basketball. I think it's good. And then you flip over to Houston versus Duke. Houston pulls it out with 30 seconds left. Man, they're some dogs. I mean, they are tough, man. They are tough. And so I think that Florida Houston game tomorrow, actually, I think it's going to be really, really interesting. I have a buddy that just went to the Florida Auburn game. He actually lives not too far from San Antonio, so he was like, dude, screw it, I'm going, let's go. So he went, him and his girl, and then actually the girl I'm with, her brother is actually making a trip out there, I think with
Nice.
one of his buddies. I think they decided like last night, like whatever time, and she told me that I guess the family group chat was blowing up for them, and he was like, yep, we're going. So I think it's going to be good, man. I like it, which is kind of off kilter. And tell me if you agree. Have you ever been to San Antonio?
No, I haven't, and it is on one of my places within the U.S. that I definitely want to go.
Yeah, we were sitting there talking last night, man, and we're sitting there like, and they're doing like, you know how they always do like the aerial view of
Yeah,
like the arena, and it's like the Spurs arena. Dude, there's like nothing around it. Like it's such an odd arena.
yeah.
Like it's just literally the Spurs arena, and then there's nothing. All they have is the Riverwalk. Like it's so odd to see, but I found that funny when we're sitting there talking. I was like, that's so true. Like there's just nothing there. Like it's just the arena. But yeah, give me your take, man. What were kind of your takeaways? I mean, who are you taking between the two? I'm still gonna ride with Florida. That's me. But I want to hear what you got.
Well, before I even get into that, have you heard Charles Barkley on the TNT show talk about San Antonio?
Not really. I mean, Chuck's a funny
Yeah.
dude.
When we're done Googling, just go on YouTube and look at like Charles's funniest moments, and it'll pop up. But he always talks about how San Antonio has the fattest women of any NBA city that he goes to. And I think it was Kenny Smith who was like, man, why are the women so fat there? He's like, man, they don't eat nothing but churros down there. He says it in a very Charles Barkleyan way, and it's just
Yes.
hilarious. But they talk about it like 3 or 4 times, and every time it just gets funnier and funnier. And then
Yeah,
they
dude, that's
finally actually
hilarious.
the next time they went back to San Antonio, Charles actually tried it because he had never eaten a churro before. He actually tried one. He was like, "Man, I can see why these women so fat down here. These churros are awesome."
Yeah, Chuck's big back
Yeah,
ass.
but man, I was just a little shocked by Houston overtaking Duke, especially because Duke looked so commanding in the first half. But big shouts out to Houston. They've played tough all year. And their coach, obviously, I don't know if you saw his post game comments, but he was like, man, he was like, all you heard all week was Duke this, Duke that, and we were able to pull out and win and basically put some respect in their name. But
Hmm.
even with that being said, I'm still taking Florida. Florida was already kind of my second option right behind Auburn. Even with a healthy Cooper Flag, Florida was still my second option. You know, with me being an Orlando Magic homer, I'm kind of hoping Walter Clayton falls to the Orlando Magic this year. Because I don't think he's a lotto player, so I think they need a point guard. They need a good shooting point guard, and if they can't get Trey Young, I would love. And I see a lot of Magic people talking about it too. But I remember the first time I
Hmm.
saw him, probably midway through the season, kind of ball out. I was like, man, that would, just like Mike Miller going from Florida to the Orlando Magic, it would be great if Walter Clayton could just go right down the street, which is about an hour and a half, or I think it's about 2 hours from Gainesville to Orlando. That would be great. But man, I got Florida overtaking Houston just slightly. And just going back to what you said, man, I think the point differential has been very ideal to like very like good, well played, hard games. I can't think of very many blowouts, especially past once we got into the Sweet 16.
Hmm.
Like you said, man, I think the likelihood of there being a ton of Cinderella stories and blowouts going forward in the future is going to be slim to none. We even see that in college football. We have a lot more parity and a lot better, higher quality games all throughout the college football tournament, and I think we'll get that in the basketball tournament as well. Baseball has always kind of shown us a ton of parity, but it'll
Hmm.
be interesting to even see how the college world, the super regionals in the college world series goes this year. And in all honesty, I think in college baseball we'll continue to see the same dominant teams that are there year in year out for the most part, or at least every other year in college baseball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got Florida winning narrowly, maybe by 3 points over Houston. I expect Walter Clayton to come through big again. Maybe not close out the game because I bet Houston's going to make a point of emphasis to slow him down probably in the second half. So I really
Hmm.
think he should come out guns blazing in the first half and give Florida a little cushion to work with because Houston does have such a good athletic defense working on their side.
Yeah, and dude, another point that you bring up, you talk about their coach, you talk about Houston's coach. I'm not going to deep dive. I don't want to butcher the story, but if you're listening to this, go and look up Coach Sampson's story, man. It's a really inspirational one with his dad, and him kind of being at a crossroads and, middle stages of his life. It's a really good story. So if you're listening to this, man, and you just want a good, heartfelt story, that's a good one to go listen to and read into. I like it a lot. But yeah.
All right, brother. So let's pivot from college basketball finals to the college players going into the NFL draft. And something I will stand on that I've been saying, I actually said it before the season was even done. But when I saw Cam Ward's last game in the regular season for Miami, I instantly said, if the Titans have the number one pick, that's where he's going because that's what they need. And sure enough, when the NFL season ended and the Titans got the number one pick, I went on Facebook and said again, Cam Ward to the Titans, and that's very much what it looks like is going to happen. I've seen that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter agreed mutually with the Titans to cancel their pre-draft meeting. So either they're playing crazy mind games, or what's probably more likely to happen, that they've already settled in on Cam Ward, and the rest of the chips will fall from there. But I have pulled up Daniel Jeremiah's he kind of tends to be one of the more accurate mock drafters, and he just put out his 3.0 just this past week. So I'm going to pull up his mock draft 3.0, and boom, let's see what your thoughts are from here. Daniel Jeremiah has Cam Ward going first to the Titans, Abdul Carter going pick number 2 to the Browns, Shedeur Sanders going number 3 to the New York Giants, which I actually think he put this up right. I think he made this right before they signed Russell Wilson, so that will be interesting to see if that stands true. I think he's going to put out one more before the draft, but then he has Travis Hunter going to the Patriots at number 4. They're needing some skill position guys. Jalen Walker, the edge from Georgia, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pick number 6, Ashton Genty, running back from Boise State. Pick number 7 to the Jets, Armand Mumbu, a offensive tackle. Pick number 8 with the Carolina Panthers, Mason Graham, a dominant defensive tackle from Michigan. Pick number 9, Hadi Campbell, a linebacker from Alabama. New Orleans Saints. Pick number 10, Chicago Bears, Will Campbell, offensive tackle, solidify their offensive line. Jahade Barron, cornerback from Texas, going to the San Francisco 49ers. And the last one that I'll list off at the moment is Matthew Golden, a wide receiver, speedy wide receiver from Texas, going to the Dallas Cowboys to go alongside CeeDee Lamb. So, man, based off this so far, what do you think is going to happen? Do you agree with this? Do you have some things you disagree? Let me know what you think.
Yeah, no, man. So I've been looking at a couple different ones. I've been looking at Field Yates a little bit. He came out with his, I think, like 5 days ago. So what day was that? Like Tuesday or Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with what you got there. There's a couple things that I think are interchangeable. I think that Jalen Walker and the kid from Michigan, Mason Graham, I think that they're interchangeable. I think that's going to be interesting. Who's the better one? What do the teams like? And that's what it boils down to, man. It's front office, GMs, coaches. Who do they like? While we think that we have all the information, we don't. So I think those two are going to be like. I'm curious to see like if those two change, if they go up, if they go down. It seems to be that the lovely Cowboys are stuck on a wide receiver. I mean, this one I'm looking at, McMillan from Arizona.
Yep.
They got him slated to the Cowboys at 12. And I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know. I'm not going to get on the Cowboys hate, but some of it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It'll be interesting. The other thing that I'm interested to see, do the Titans I would be curious to be a fly on the wall in the Titans front office in the sense of this. Levis, I don't think is awful. I don't think he's great by any stretch of the imagination. But if something comes about where somebody else thinks that Cam Ward is their future, does somebody come in? And I don't see a team out there. I can't think of one off the top of my head that would be willing to trade up to get Cam Ward and solidify that. I can't think of one at the moment. But with that being said, do the Titans take it if there's a blockbuster trade that comes in on draft day? that's kind of those are like my two things where I'm kind of like, okay, like, the two edge guys, are they interchangeable? Like I think, and then does somebody try to make a splash for Cam Ward? Is Cam Ward that number one pick? Is he the renowned? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I just that's going to be interesting because I'll be honest, like I don't see it with Cam Ward. I don't know why I don't. I don't know. I don't know if it's the lackadaisical. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about like, is Cam Ward going to be another? I'm trying to think of like a good comparison in my eyes. Is Cam Ward going to be another Anthony Richardson? Now, granted, he had a better college career than Anthony Richardson, but is that kind of where we're going to compare him when it's all said and done in 10 years? Are the Titans making the right move, or do you go and try to build around what you got? I mean, that's going to be interesting to see. And then I would say the other thing, we didn't go that far down. I know you scrolled through it, but to see where Jackson Dart goes, I know that it said, the ones that I've been seeing got him slated to the Steelers. Interesting. So yeah, those are like my three kind of like watching points of like, is Cam Ward, is somebody going to try to make a blockbuster trade with the Titans? And then the two edge guys, what are we doing there? Are they interchangeable? Who goes first? Who's the better one? And then, see those later picks, kind of how it all shakes out. Because I feel like in the last couple of years, everybody's kind of dropped. Like you thought a guy was like slated at number 2. Is he going number 2 or is he going to drop down to 15? So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. But everything else on that mock draft, I agree with. I like Ashton Genty to the Raiders too. I will say that.
So I guess I'll kind of give my thoughts. Not going to give you a ton of pushback, but the reason I am a big Cam Ward fan, and I know Andre Ford doesn't like to hear this, but I do think he actually does compare very well to Steve McNair. I don't think he's as, it's something I definitely agree with. We're yet to see it, but I don't think he's as tough as Steve McNair is. But he's outside of going to Miami, he took a very similar route to what Steve McNair has taken to the NFL. He played
Mm-hmm.
at Incarnate Word, which was, nobody can tell me where that is right now without Googling it, but it's a very small school. And then he went to Washington and lit it up for 2 years at Washington. And then he's now had a great year, a record breaking year at University of Miami. For one, to show that he went from a run and gun offense to a more of a pro style offense. I think he has the ability to adapt, be coachable, learn on the fly. And that experience will help him transition into the NFL, learning was it Bill
Callahan.
Callahan's offense? Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
kept wanting to say
Yeah,
Bill Shanahan. Um,
I gotcha.
and then a story that Michael Irvin told, gosh, back in September about Cam Ward. I don't know if you heard
Mm-hmm.
this, but Cam Ward was working with some of the Miami wide receivers in the offseason. And as you know, Lamar Jackson is also from down in Miami area.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the wide receivers for Miami got an invite from Lamar to come work out with him. And where he was working out from where Coral Gables, where Cam Ward was about 30 minutes away. And Cam Ward had already set up a workout to work out with his guys. And he called him, the wide receiver was like, hey, man, where you at? We're about to start. And he was like, hey, man, I'm working out with New Era 8, like Lamar's like trademark. He's like, I'm working out with Lamar Jackson up in Fort Lauderdale, man. It's like, man, it's really awesome. And Cam Ward was like, hey, Lamar Jackson ain't the one throwing you the ball this year. I am. So you better get your butt back down here by the time before we're done, or you won't be seeing many passes in the office this year. And that's the kind of stuff that I like to hear out of my quarterback, being not just a rah-rah leader, not just being an X and O's guy, but a guy who will rally his troops because he wants all his guys ready and on the same page as him, ready to go win some ball games.
Mm-hmm.
Ward, I haven't really heard. I hear with Shador Sanders that his comp is like a Tua, but something I still stand in. I think his comp is Drew Brees. Shador is like 1 inch taller than Drew Brees, so still similar stature. Drew Brees actually, up until his latter years, was a decent athlete, enough to like move around in the pocket very well and escape when they
Mm-hmm.
beat, especially his Chargers and Super Bowl winning days with the New Orleans Saints. And of course, with age, he slowed down. But Shador also has been said by nearly every scout that he is not his dad. He's not an ultra athletic guy. He is going to be a pocket guy, and he's very accurate and precise. And I know
Mm-hmm.
Shador had one of the best completion percentages in all of college football this year, in the pocket and out of the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think stature, when I think athletic ability, when I think of what Drew Brees had to deal with in Purdue with a lackluster O line and what Cam had to deal with in Colorado, I think he compares very fairly to Drew Brees. Now we'll see if he
Yeah.
can process and pick up an offense, but again, if he gets to go to an offensive-minded coach, that's going to favor very well for him. And we know Cam Ward is going to an offensive coach, which is going to fare very well for him. And I think the
Hmm.
only reason why I don't believe the Titans anymore, maybe a month ago, why they won't entertain any kind of trades is because they know in the AFC that is super quarterback dominant, you need a guy with potential who has an arm, who has a gunslinger mentality. Because if you're going to have to go with in your own division, Trevor Lawrence and C.J. Stroud, and then in the AFC, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert for the next 8 to 10 years at a minimum, probably 8 years at a minimum,
Hmm.
you got to have a guy in the AFC who can potentially sling it like they do. You can't have a guy that might be a good, accurate guy, mediocre, because it's the
Yeah.
way AFC teams build their teams, and hardly any of them have the best rosters. The NFC is more
Hmm.
the roster side of the NFL, where you look at the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and how they're constructed. And so that's kind of how I look at that. One thing I was seeing before I saw this was I think the whether Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers or not, I think they're going to get Jackson Dart. And that's even if Jackson Dart drops that far in the draft. The way he's been
Hmm.
trending, the way a lot of guys have been touting him the last couple of weeks, it seems like a team may get Jackson Dart, maybe even in the top 10 picks.
Yeah.
Some I've even seen, I don't quite see it yet, but I even see some people that are putting Jackson Dart over Shador Sanders, and they think Shador Sanders is the one that might fall to a team in the late teens or early 20s. Which
Hmm.
again, like you said, man, what it really comes down to is what teams really value and see on that day. Because if Cleveland ends up going Abdul Carter number 2 and Travis Hunter number 3, we know the Patriots aren't drafting them at 4. We
Hmm.
know the Raiders aren't drafting them because they just signed
Hmm.
Geno to 2 years. And then it's like Shador could easily, or any quarterback could start falling pretty easily down for the draft if he doesn't go to Cleveland or Giants in the top 3. So it could be a slippery long night for Shador. But again, Lamar Jackson fell. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers both fell late 20s in their draft, and it ended up working out for the best for them because they both went to 2 of the 5 best franchises the NFL has had in the last 50 years,
Hmm.
and the Baltimore Ravens and the Green Bay Packers. So, in my estimation, it wouldn't be a bad thing if Shador fell because more than likely he'd be going to a better organization that would have him set up to have multiple playoff chances year in year out for a 10 to 15 year period for him.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Green Bay on draft night.
Yeah. And I will throw in there, I want the Chiefs to either draft the best offensive tackle available, but if there isn't, like a guy they're just jumping over fences for, if Luther Burden the third from Missouri is still there, I hope that's who they draft.
Okay.
Because more is
All
better
right.
for the wide receiver room for us.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's going to be interesting.
And one thing I will say, I did agree with Andre. I had lunch with him on Friday. Jerry Jones always goes after the flashy pick. He either gets the best available player,
Hmm.
like a Micah Parsons. If an offensive lineman is the absolute best prospect is there, he goes for that. And when it's not, he is going to go after the flashy gadget guy, whether it be a running back or wide receiver, and that's going to be the kid Golden out of Texas this year.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if Genty so happens to fall to their pick, they're 100% going to pick Genty. And that's if
Yeah.
the Chicago Bears don't draft him either after the
Yeah.
Raiders.
Well, I think the Bears are locked in on their guy. I do.
Yeah,
I think the Bears are locked in. They got to solidify that line
yeah,
for their future if they want it to be successful.
I
So
agree.
yeah, we're definitely going to have to do one like post draft night and cover everything because there's going to be a lot to uncover.
Or possibly even go live on draft night and react to the first
We
night.
could. We could. I'd be down for
Yeah,
that.
I think if we can work out the logistics on that, I say let's just go live and cover it. I won't have anything better to do. And if I tell my wife early enough, she definitely won't mind. So if you're game, I'm game. We can do our first live show for the NFL draft night, which is what, 3 weeks away now?
Yeah, it's approaching quickly. It is going to be. I literally just saw it.
Is it April 14th?
It is. Hold on. Why did I just? Yes, April 24th.
24th.
Sorry,
Okay,
April
I knew it was a
24th.
4 in there. So yeah, we got 3
Yeah,
weeks on
April
that.
24th. Yep.
All right, so let's pivot from the draft to what is going on right now with the MLB. We are a couple weeks into the season. Some not too many interesting storylines outside of the Dodgers starting off
Mm-mm.
very dominant and the torpedo bat epidemic that swept through. That's already kind of calmed down so far because it's not just the Yankees using the torpedo bats.
Mm-mm.
There's multiple guys across different teams. I remember seeing Ellie De La Cruz. I think it was the same day or maybe the day after Alar's podcast. He switched over and went like 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and a double, I believe. But that bat is honestly it's not for everybody.
No.
It is very center of the bat, kind of like you said. It has more mass. If you're somebody who gets jammed a lot, that bat is better for you. But if you're somebody who likes to get that bat hit around, it's not a good bat for you. And that's why everybody isn't using it, and it's not going to just sweep through the league. Um,
No.
but MLB stat leaders, man, what do you got for me?
Man, I got a couple things. You tell me where you want to start. I got player stats, and I also have clubs, like who's leading their divisions. I always love starting there.
Let's go.
I
Let's go with
always
the
like
club.
looking
Let's
at.
go with the clubs, and then we'll move into players.
Okay, yeah. So I got them pulled up. So of course, in the AL East, you got the Yankees at the top with the Red Sox a game behind. And so that's the East. Then you got the Central, and you got the Tigers and the Royals. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I think I kind of called the
Yeah.
Tigers. I mean, again, way too early to kind of tell, but I did kind of call the Tigers. The Royals are only a game behind. You got the Rangers and the Angels atop the AL West. The Rangers are 8-2, off to a really good start. They look good. If they can stay healthy, I will like the Rangers out of the West, and then the Angels are a game and a half behind. You flip over to the National League, NL East. You got the Phillies and the Mets. Mets a game behind. Phillies atop that one. In the Central, you got the Cubs and you got the Brewers. My personal opinion, and I know you're going to hate to hear this, but I think the NL Central is probably the weakest in all of baseball. Between them, it's really just the Central.
Yeah, I agree.
It hasn't been strong for a long time. But you got the Cubs and the Brewers atop. And then in the NL West, you got the Giants and the Dodgers at a foothold. Giants look good. Dodgers look good. And then you got the Padres right there. I'm telling you, the NL West is going to be is going to be an interesting one to watch throughout the year. Because you got the Padres who are a half game behind the Dodgers and the Giants. So you start there and you start to look, okay, what's going on stat-wise. As a team, you got the Cardinals who are leading all MLB with a 302 average as a team. Then you got the just red-hot Yankees at 299, the Padres, the Orioles, and the Tigers. And this is something for viewers, this is something that I tend to look for and I continue to watch to see, like, you can start to really kind of pick out, okay, who's going to be in that playoff hunt post All-Star break. By watching these, you start to see people in multiple categories. Those teams that start cracking that top five, those are teams that you need to go ahead and throw some money on. Go ahead and put a little bit on them, and they're going to make a run. Right now, pitching leaders, you got the Dodgers as a team. I mean, nothing crazy. It's just all your teams that got the most wins. You flip over to home runs. Home runs, the Yankees are leading the MLB as a team with 25. The Dodgers with 21. The Cubs and Mr. Kyle Tucker with 16. The Athletics playing in their minor league park at 14, and the Cardinals at 13. Earned run average, man, of course, the Dodgers staff is it's solid. I mean, it's really good. Then the Mets are up there, Padres, Giants, Phillies. But besides that, man, there's nothing too crazy that stands out as far as like team stats. Then you get over to MLB, like to the player stats. Of course, way too early. But you start looking, the Wilyer Abreu kid from Boston,
Yeah.
He's tearing it up right now. I got it on in the background. I mean, they're absolutely smoking the Cardinals right now. I think the last time I looked, it was, 18-3 in
Oh
the
wow,
South.
that's a shellac.
Yeah, dude. Bregman's having a game. He's already hit one out. So you got Abreu who's hitting really well. The Christian Campbell kid hitting really well. Tatis is hitting well. So all these guys, of course, again, way too early, but they're all over 400. The thing that is standing out to me, though, and this is why I wanted to kind of bring this up, there's two stats that are just wild to me. Eugenio Suarez out of Arizona, the third baseman, has 5 pumps on the year. Guess how many hits he has on the year?
He has 5 pumps.
He has 5 pumps. Guess how many hits?
4. Wow.
That math ain't mathin'.
No.
That math ain't mathin', cuz. It's a little late on a Sunday night, but that math ain't mathin'. He's got 6 hits and 5 of them are pumps, and he is number 2 in all of MLB for home runs on the year. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like that's wild to me. Like this guy's just all he's doing is just hitting
That's
pumps. Like that's it. He provides nothing
that's
else.
very like 2009, 2010 Mark Reynolds.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
Like
Like I saw that and I'm like, what the
Mark
fuck is
Reynolds, like
going on?
70 hits on a year, 45 home runs.
Yeah, like I saw that and I'm like, dude, what in the world is going on? The other one that's very interesting to me is the not so hot start Braves have a guy out of their bullpen, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, Schwielenbach. Schwielenbach,
Yeah.
I don't know, has not allowed an earned run all year. It just tells you how bad the Braves are right now. They can't get it going. Of course, other breaking news that we haven't covered yet is Jurickson Profar out for 80
Yeah.
games. That's a big blow around here. A lot of people aren't happy. And dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't dug deep into it, but wasn't it something with like estrogen or some shit?
Yeah. It was actually HCG, which was the same thing Manny Ramirez got popped for, which basically it helps to stimulate your natural testosterone production. For those who are not
Okay.
steroid.
Yeah, yeah. You want to start doing a deep dive? We can have a whole episode about that. But yeah, man. I mean, there's nothing that's really crazy that's standing out. I think it's going to be interesting to see these stats as we continue to go. Those were the two biggest, though. You got Kyle Tucker, who's putting the Cubs on his back right now. I mean, guy's got, let's see, he's got 12 RBIs on the year. He is rocking a, let's see here. He is rocking a 319 average with, correction. He now has 15 RBIs after tonight. 5 pumps, and he is only rocking 6 strikeouts and 47 bats. You got to love to see that out of your middle of the lineup guy. You made a trade for him. You're feeling good about that if you're the Cubs. Anybody standing out to you so far, man, this year? You liking anybody? You thinking anybody's looking real good, real bad? What you got for me?
No, but something I love doing is making way too early predictions.
Okay, let's make them.
And one I kind of sat on because I was like, man, what year is this? We're in 2025. I think this year Mike Trout stays healthy, and at worst he finishes top 3 in MVP voting, because basically every year Mike Trout finishes a year healthy, he finishes top 3. So that part is really not a bold take, but I think if Mike Trout stays healthy, he wins the MVP this year in the AL.
I like it.
I think he's due.
Like
We've had a couple down years in a row. I think it's Mike Trout's year, and he's a guy that heats up. He's like a June through August kind of guy. Like he kind of gets like not slow starts, but like just kind of these like average kind of starts to a year, and then he just pops off in the middle of the summer, which is he's a Jersey guy, so it's like that kind of makes sense. Like those guys only get like 3 legit warm months all year in the upper Northeast there. So that is my way too early prediction there. And I think the Dodgers, I really hate just only talking about marquee teams, but I saw Blake Snell went down on a DL, 15-day DL for arm inflammation. But they are struggling. I think their center fielder has been struggling on the defensive end. So I bet the Dodgers are going to make another move before the trade deadline this year. And this is something that is going to take a few years to play out, but I think we're already starting to see the early signs of it. But I think if I had to bet money 6 to 8 years from now that the Juan Soto deal is going to turn out to be one of the worst aging contracts baseball will have seen. Like, not Anthony Rendon bad, but like probably closer to Pujols, that his better days were all in the season. His 30s aren't going to age very well. Doesn't mean he can't have a great career, but we're already seeing like routine balls in the outfield. He's just looking like a below average outfielder already. And if he doesn't hit, 40 plus home runs, 15 plus RBIs every year, his contract is just not going to age good for the 5th through 10th year of his career, if not before that.
I agree with you. I was not a fan of that Mets deal. And correction, for anybody fact checking me out there, Wielenbach is actually a starting pitcher. I think I said he came out of their pen, but he's their starting pitcher, because I remember seeing it and I was like, man, that just tells you how bad they are that he's starting for them. Has a 0 ERA in 14 innings, and they're this bad.
Yeah.
I'll give you my bold prediction. This is like my way too early prediction. So you had your Mike Trout MVP one. Shota Imanaga from the Cubs, he wins the NL Cy Young this year.
Okay, there you go. You heard it first.
Guy looks good. Guy looks good. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of him.
And before, let me hopefully slow pull this up. Have you seen the kid out of the minor leagues that has just been like he might be the fastest guy I've ever seen on a baseball field? And I feel
I
like
have not, but drop some knowledge on me.
I've seen every fast guy in the MLB. Who's first of all, before I get to that, who would you say is the fastest guy that you've ever seen in the big leagues with your own eyes, or at least like you've seen since you've been watching the sport?
Ooh, that is tough. Oh my gosh, and I can see him. You know who I'm talking about? The kid that played for the Rays. He's a Florida kid, man. He played at Santa Fe Community College. When he played for the Rays, he always wore the Florida chain. Oh my
And I'm
gosh.
drawing a blank on this one.
Can't, no, once I say the name, you're gonna know it. Hold on, I'm about to do a deep dive real quick. I'm just literally gonna type "fast guy from Tampa Bay Rays," and it was like back in like 2018 because I saw him, dude, and he was so fast, and I can't think of his name, and it's gonna piss me off because I can see it. Hold on, everybody, be patient with me. Let me see, outfielder from Santa. Dude, and I've heard. I'll give you a story about this kid. I've heard scout stories about this guy. Outfielder from Santa Fe College. Oh, there it was. Tampa Bay Rays. There it was. Yep, Alex Smith.
Yeah,
Malik
I
Smith. You
remember
remember
him.
Malik Smith? Dude, I have heard scouting stories about this kid at Santa Fe because coaching at TCC, you always just shoot the shit with scouts and everything. And I heard one. It was the Braves guy, and he told me that he watched Malik Smith hit a routine ground ball, like three hopper to the second baseman and beat it out. Like kid fields it, boom, goes to I think he took one shuffle,
Yeah,
and Malik Smith was already there, beat it out.
yeah,
I'm like, what? And then seeing him in Tampa, of course, he had to be one of the fastest people. And I don't think enough people give him enough credit. I don't think people really realize how fast he was. But yeah, that kid was lightning.
yeah.
But who's yours? You're a
So
little bit older, so you might have some more.
so before this kid who I'm about to mention, the fastest person I ever seen actually in person was
Hmm.
Xavier Avery. He was drafted.
Okay.
He used to play for East Cobb, and he was drafted out of high school, I think by the Orioles. He actually turned down. Well, he had a full scholarship to play running back at Georgia. He was the same grad class as me, so he graduated high school '08. So that
Okay.
just tell you kind of athlete he was. But I believe at that time he had broken the perfect game 60 record. I think he ran like a 6.629 on turf back then. And I want to say that record's since been broken like two or three times over. But I watched him play in East Cobb. We were playing them in a game that legit had like 100 scouts at it between D1, D2, and the major league scouts. But he hit a ball. I was actually DHing this game, so I wasn't in the field. So I got to watch him run. But he hit a ball that our center fielder cut off before the warning track where it was 375 in right center and had a stand up triple out of it. And I watched him, and it was
Yeah.
kind of like one of those lofty balls. It wasn't like a hard, so like the outfitters took a good route to it, but because it was like you couldn't make a play on it, but it was just out of your reach. That was the first time, and probably the only time in person I've seen somebody get a stand up triple and not on a huge field and get a stand up triple on the ball that didn't even reach the fence.
Yeah.
That kid absolutely flew.
One just popped into my head, and you're gonna hate me. That yeah, he's way faster than Malik Smith, and that I've seen in person and had the opportunity to coach against. But his name is Taylor Lomack.
I've heard that name.
Shout out Low. Yeah, shout out Low. He actually, if memory serves me correct, he actually he set the record. You remember the Florida Junior College Showcase you always
Yeah,
did? Remember when you go down to Tiger
yeah,
Town
yeah.
and
I played in
you
that.
ran on the field and all that? And so he set the record. I think he ran dude, I'm not even gonna lie and make up a number, but it was one of the fastest ever.
Yeah.
Scouts, I kid you not, every scout from the big field came down to watch Lomac run. And I was like, what in the world? And fun fact about Lomac, he starred in Barbershop 3. He was one of the little kids in the
Oh
car, and
wow.
it's funny because it'll pop up. But I'm gonna have to send this to him, man, and tell him I shout him out. But yeah, now Lomac, man, that kid, can fly. He's still playing. He's playing independent ball, man, balling out, setting records in independent ball for stolen bases. But yeah, Lomac would be probably my fastest guy on a
All
baseball
right,
field.
so let me put you on game. This kid, have you heard of Chandler Simpson?
No, I
I
have
think he
not.
plays for the Durham Bulls. So I'm gonna play the clip for you. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Can you see my screen, or is it just me still?
No, it's just us right now.
Still can't see me.
I can see you, but not the
All
screen.
right, screw it. But this kid, I'll send you the clip personally so you can watch it yourself. But
Okay.
this kid beat out a routine ground ball to first base and beat it out.
Okay.
He plays for the Durham Bulls, which I think is triple.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure the Durham Bulls
I think so.
they're the double A or triple A. The clip should be coming through to you now, and I'll let you watch it, and then we'll keep the audience waiting.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, routine of routine.
Oh, that's insane.
And the pitcher had no
That's
shot. The
insane,
pitcher
dude.
had no shot to get over there either.
I mean, that's insane. Like, and not, I mean, slow out of the box.
Yeah,
Like, roll over Randy, slow out of the box. Like, that's insane. Viewers, sorry.
yeah,
Hopefully we can pop this up.
yeah. Viewers, I'll go back and edit this and throw this in at the end. I won't keep y'all holding much longer, but yeah, the fastest. That was the fastest down the line I've ever seen.
That's insane.
I saw some
That's
clips from
insane.
spring training where he was hitting like one or two hoppers to the third baseman shortstop and beating them out by a step. And
That's just insane.
he's hitting like 338 right now in the short minor league system. I think they've only been playing for like a week or a week and a half. But the fact that he's can put the ball and play that much and hit over 300, he's going to be an absolute problem when he gets called up to the big leagues.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
All right, but let's pivot from there. Enough baseball talk. Let's move to the NBA. The NBA playoffs are approaching, and for some teams, they've kind of been just steady Eddie the whole year. Two teams at the top, especially the OKC Thunder, looking like they have a chance to win 70 ball games this year, which is always an incredible year. The Boston Celtics have pretty much been the same from start to finish. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they were at one point, they were on pace to win 70 games this year. They've had a couple of like 4 and 5 game losing streaks, but they've even kind of stated out their ship and seemed like a third to fifth best contending team for the championship this year. And then of course the Lakers, they look terrible for a couple games and they look good for a couple of games. I'm personally selling my stock on the Lakers to be true title contenders. I don't think they play good enough defense, and I think their offense is still too inconsistent. I think Luka, LeBron, and even Austin Reeves still need the ball way too much for them to have consistently fluid offense. But I mean, they literally have like a bottom three defense in the league right now, and the other teams are
Yeah.
all like playing for Cooper Flag right now. So they're only a
Yep.
playoff team who has like such a low defensive rating, and I think the Nuggets are not too far behind them. But they have Jokic, who, even though he won't win MVP this year, Jokic is definitely the best basketball player in the NBA right now, and that's pretty
Hmm.
indisputable. Dude's averaging a triple double with 30 points a game right now, and it's just absolutely mind boggling. But man, what do you think about the NBA playoffs as a approach coming up here soon?
Yeah, no, man, I still like my takes. I still like my takes. I think it's going to be Nuggets, OKC coming out of the West in the Western Conference Finals, and I think it's going to be Celtics and Cleveland coming out of the East. And that's just where I'm standing. I'm standing behind it. I feel confident in it. I never had stock in the Lakers personally. I think it's probably the greatest minds. I think we agreed on that. I never had stock in them. I didn't think they would be a contender. But yeah, I mean, of course, I'm a homer. I like the Celtics, man. I mean, they just broke the Warriors three-pointers made in a game as a team. They just broke that record. Or in a season, sorry, in a season. They just broke that record. And so I like it, man. The only thing that scares me, just being real, is it sustainable in the playoffs? We saw it work last year. Can it work again this year? That's my kind of like leniency is like, I mean, you're going to live by the three, you're going to die by the three. And so I don't know. Like it's gonna be interesting to watch. For some reason, I'm not worried about Cleveland. I don't know why. I think that we can beat Cleveland. Healthy Celtics. I think we can beat them. I think we can beat them in six. I don't think it's going to be anything more than. I don't think it's going to be anything less than six. It may go to seven, and then I think OKC and I think the Nuggets. I think that's going to go to seven. If you want my honest opinion, I think that's going to be a great series to watch, and I hope that we get that series. I hope we get both of those. I hope we get, Celtics, Cavs, and OKC and Nuggets. I think if we get both of those, I think people are going to tune in. They're going to watch it. You got reigning MVP, future MVP. You got reigning champs, up and coming young good core that's playing really well together as a team. I think that's going to be a great series, or series is however you say it, to watch. Of course, my Siri's trying to pop up right now. I'm going to turn her off. I don't know why, but we're gonna get those. We're gonna get those, and I hope we do because I think they'd be good.
Yeah, man. I think one team that has kind of come on strong the last couple of weeks, and their best player been kind of playing out of his mind recently, are the Golden State Warriors.
Mm,
I can definitely see them winning one series and maybe even a second series, and then if we get playoff Jimmy, because since they've acquired Jimmy, it has freed up Steph to really be Steph, and Steph is kind of playing like prime Steph right now, dropping a lot of 40 and 50 point games like they're nothing. I think he has two 50 point games since the All Star break. I know it for sure
yeah,
because
it's insane.
I know one of them was on the Magic. And I think he just did one here recently when Jokic went for 60 point triple double. So I think the Warriors are poised to make a good run to finish the season and going into the playoffs. And I think they're going to be a very dangerous team to a lot of teams, along with the Timberwolves coming out of the West. They still have a good core team, and Anthony Richardson is a guy that can, for a 2 to 3 game stretch in the playoffs, can carry a team and drop 30, 40, 45 points if need be. And he brings the
Mm-hmm.
energy on the defensive side. Just can he sustain that for multiple playoff series in a row with his surrounding cast? He did it last year, but can he do it 2 years in a row? Yet to be seen. I put my money on yes, but again, he's still a young player, so you don't know what quite you're going to get out of a young player. And on the East side, man, to me, it's really a two-team race. I think Boston and Cleveland are clearly the two better teams. But a team that's honestly playing great right now and has played great since, I think, in their last 50 games. I think they just came out of the NBA season very slow, the Detroit Pistons. And honestly, if they
Mm-hmm.
finish the season strong, I know I had Donovan Mitchell as my guard for all first team All NBA. But I think if the Pistons continue to finish strong, a little recency bias may have Cade Cunningham coming in and stealing Donovan Mitchell's first team All NBA bid. I think at worst, Cade Cunningham is second team All NBA this year. But the way he's
Yeah.
playing down the stretch, and if they lead a strong charge to the playoffs, Cade Cunningham could definitely steal Donovan Mitchell's All NBA, and I think it would be Donovan Mitchell's first All NBA as well if he got it. So it's interesting to see how those awards play out for those two guards leading their team into the playoffs this year. But I think we're poised. I think the playoffs are going to be kind of top heavy this year, but I definitely
Mm-hmm.
think even on the bottom side with like the Knicks and the Magic, uh, and on the West, like the Rockets, there's still some and even the Grizzlies, there's still some very compelling teams who I think can quote unquote turn it on and give us some great series. And at the end of the day, as a fan, that's all you can ask for. You don't want to see any sweeps on in any round of the playoffs. So if we can get some 5, 6, 7 game series on the East and the West, that's all you can ask for. You want to see the young stars. We have a lot of young stars, whether people realize it or not, between Cade Cunningham and Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner and Jalen Green and Amin Thompson for the Houston Rockets, Shingun, Chet Holmgren, and the whole OKC's whole team is young because I believe Shea is the oldest player on that team, and he's like 26 now,
Yeah.
going on 27.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. So I'm gonna be locked in for this playoff run just as much as any playoff run, because I want to see the young players take a step and show us who they really are in the playoffs. But I think this is really a 4 team race to the top,
Mm-hmm.
and be interesting to see who actually comes out on top to get in the finals from the East and the West.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Oh, sorry. I agree. I think the NBA is in a really good place. A new generation kind of coming in. But yeah, new generation coming in, man. Old generation kind of leaving. We're about to see a new slate, and I think the NBA is in a good place for years to come for sure.
All right, man. So let's finish up. We have one last topic that you wanted to kind of pioneer in here, and that's a little
Mm-hmm.
coach talk hour. I think you were mentioning how athletes can stand out at the high school level. So, man, why don't you lead this charge, and I'll chime in how I have. But I know both of us. I know for at least for me, I coached at the high school. I coached baseball and softball here in Memphis
Mm-hmm.
at the high school level, and I coached travel ball for 5 years at the high school level. So I mean, that's where I'm coming from an experience standpoint. Of course, both of us played well beyond high school baseball, so we did the travel ball thing, we did the high school thing, so we have firsthand and secondhand experience of what athletes can do to maybe set themselves apart and set themselves up for future success at the next level. So, man, where do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, man, no, it's something that's kind of been weighing on me. I got a buddy here that coaches, and he coaches a local high school up in Roswell, Georgia, Centennial High School. Just things that stand out, man. I've been to a couple of games this year, and it's just something that I know both of us have kind of a passion for coaching and, a passion for helping out the next generation. It's one of those things for any viewers out there, man, if you're listening and somebody that, kid might be struggling or whatever it might be, young kid. I think the biggest thing that I notice in this generation, man, is people not knowing the game, not knowing and understanding the game. And it's tough to see. We grew up in a generation where knowing the game was very important, knowing what to do with the ball, knowing an approach at the plate, knowing what it took to win ball games was very, very important. And it was highly stressed. You could have all the talent in the world, but if you were a dumbass on that field, it didn't matter. And I think it's something that you see not only in, of course, in our respective sport, baseball. You did a little more softball than I did. I dabbled in a touch, but I think it's across all sports. It's just learning and understanding the game. For any young listeners out there, man, you have no idea how much it's going to help your high school coach, and it's going to make you stand out even more on a high school field. And that's where I'm coming from with this. Like, I can tell kids that know the game just from going out and watching and just being a buddy of the coach and, go out there with my little whiskey and just enjoy a baseball game. And so it's one of those things, man. Knowing the game it's not stressed enough, and you can really differentiate yourself from others if you're wanting to play at the next level. If you're not wanting to play at the next level, man, do your thing. Do your thing. But I hope if you have aspirations and you want to be successful and that's what you want to do and you want to do it at the highest level you can, first and foremost, you have got to understand the game. You've got to know how the game works, where you can be successful, and it's not stressed enough. And I think it's something that, man, we can do little spinoffs on this and we can talk more and dive deeper into it all. And it's just one of those things, man, where I think not knowing the game it's a glaring issue in today's youth.
Yeah, having coached at the high school level and really even since 2020, since the COVID, and even a little bit before that, even in coaching travel ball as well. But you see even more in high school because there's more of a talent disparity in high school ball than there is travel ball, obviously. And more times than not, I would say 90% of the time, before the first pitch is thrown, baseball or softball, I know who's going to win the game because I can tell by how the team warms up and how the team preps, and I can tell how the athlete warms up and how the athlete preps by who is going to be good, who is checked in, who's checked out, but more than likely who is prepared to have a good game that day despite how their day actually starts.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because you don't get a good hit your first at bat, or you don't take the right route on the ball, or your catcher, you're making bad calls, if you're even calling games, I can tell the kids who are going to overcome adversity even within the game again by before the first pitch is thrown. Because you just when you've been around it long enough, you see it. And that's why for me, I always thought about scouting. I did think about scouting at one point, but scouting is such a grind and it's such to make it to the top to where you're actually making good money and people are actually listening to you takes like years and years and a few good calls before you get there. And that's why I never went that route. And I love what I do anyways. But I always knew I had a knack for scouting because I could tell who was going to be good. And even on my own team, like a lot of times I wanted to write lineups based on how girls or guys were warming up, but you kind of have to roll with how well they prepared during the weekend practices and all those good things as well. But I very much agree, man. Overall, especially in the sport of softball, I really noticed that there was a lack of knowledge epidemic going on, and kids just didn't know, how to play the game freely. And you only play the game freely when you know the game like the back of your own hand. And
Hmm.
part of that, I will always put part of that on coaching and parents, because I think as the sport has become more specialized, more kids are doing lessons and training and nutrition, but less kids are practicing full time. And I think about how much we practiced versus how many lessons I took. It was almost like for every hour that I did a lesson, there was probably legitimately 50 hours of practice. Where now I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's probably for every hour a kid does a lesson, they're only probably practicing 2 hours more. And
Hmm.
I think that's where a lot of the lack of knowledge comes, because I know when I did hitting lessons, I did fielding lessons with kids, I was trying to teach them a game as much as I was trying to
Hmm.
teach them the skill. But I know I see a lot of these specialist coaches that don't quite do that, because all they're worried about is, will their kid get 2 hits and hit a bomb in their next game so they can post them and mark them on social media? Is their pitcher, did they take up their velocity 4 miles per hour in a 6 month time period so they could post it and market it so they could get more kids in and make more money, versus actually teaching them their kid how, if it's a pitcher, I'm teaching them, hey, when you don't have your fastball that day, is your secondary and third pitch, are you hitting your spots with those and changing locations and mixing it up and this, that, and the other? And I know you're a catcher, so you can speak to all that stuff very well, probably even better than me. But I was always even though I was a guy that was very physically gifted and talented, I always knew the game through and through. And I thought I played the game from a mental standpoint than always a physical standpoint,
Hmm.
because being able to see if a pitcher is tipping off pitches, or if a coach is calling out pitches or calling out signs, hey, can I pick up one of these? Because if I know a guy is stealing and I'm in the outfield, I can make a special call to my pitcher, and maybe he does an extra pitch out and we get that guy out at second, and that keeps a big inning from happening in the middle of the game and keeps that team from rallying up or getting too much ahead of us. And those are the small things that I know for a fact aren't going on a game to game, team to team basis in today's game.
No, man, and yeah, you bring up you're hitting. We're very much in line on this subject, and it's something that like I said, we have a passion for. And if anybody, man, if your kids got questions, you got questions, feel free, reach out, drop a comment, do whatever, and we'll answer it, man. Because I know that me and Bryan both have, a long history in the sport of baseball, and, long history in the game and just being athletes. And that's one thing, man, that we do have a passion for, as well as talking sports. And it's one thing that we had talked about early on diving into, and, trying to get some growth on that end as well. And we'd love to help out in any way, shape, or form. And I know that there's a need for it. I sit there and I watch, and I know that there's a need for it. So it was just something, man, that was kind of weighing on me. And I know that, when I brought it up to you, you were all about it. So I'm glad we got to. And it's just something, basically, final thoughts on that is just study the game. Just study the game. If you love it, you got to eat, sleep, and breathe it. You got to learn it. You got to know it. You got to know situations, because you might think you know everything, and I'm still constantly learning, man. And I'm not even coaching anymore, and I'm still watching and learning and processing. And why is this happening? Why is that happening? But just the final thoughts, man. Study the game. If you're a young athlete, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, softball, golf, whatever it is, study the game. Learn it.
Yeah, and man, we'll definitely follow up and do a show. We'll try to do it sometime during the midweek, or even if we do it before we do our podcast. I did have a player, guys, probably even 3 weeks ago. She asked, could I basically cover a very similar subject to this, and I kind of let that fall through the wind, because her post was like kind of down in my photo log here. I had it saved, so I definitely need to honor her and honor. Another way, I haven't given that back to the sport in a while now, since my daughter's in college and I've been more of a spectator
Mm-hmm.
than a teacher and a coach. So we would definitely, I guarantee you, I promise you, we will follow up and do a follow-up show just on baseball, softball talk, and try to bring some education from a player standpoint and a coach standpoint. Because one thing I noticed, and again, we're both from Florida, where those sports are a lot more prominent, and there's a lot more people
Mm-hmm.
that, when they're done playing, come back to those areas and provide knowledge. And one thing I notice about in my time being in the Mid-South is the knowledge base and willingness to come back and help others is not nearly as prevalent in the baseball and softball side. Like there's a big gap between the top programs and the lower programs. There's really not a lot of mid-tier programs because there's not enough coaches and mentors coming back and helping out kids, especially like in the whole West Tennessee area, even the Northwest Mississippi area. Again, it takes guys like us coming back and helping out to help the people who are giving back to the sport from an educational and mentorial standpoint to help provide knowledge for these kids. Because even like my daughter, when I came into her life and I watched her, we'll end on this story, but I remember sitting next to her mom the first tournament I ever watched her play. I think she was 12 and she was not playing very consistently. And I watched her warm up and I turned to her mom, was like, why does she not play and why is she hitting so far at the bottom of the lineup? Because just from what I see, I watch her warm up for 30 minutes now. She probably has top 3 strongest arms and top 3 strongest bats, and she looks like she's probably the 3rd or 4th fastest girl on the team. So based on physicality alone at this age, she should be, in the lineup somewhere playing more consistently. Her mom was like, well, honestly, she's just never gotten proper coaching. And a lot of these girls are getting help, and where we live, just help is not very accessible. She got 3 lessons from a girl who was very good, who played college ball, but then she started dating a boy and moved off and didn't tell anybody. And she had like 40 clients she was working with. And she literally just left and because my daughter showed up for their appointment and she wasn't there and she hadn't been there all day and she just up and left for a boy. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to help. In 3 months, my daughter literally went from the end of the bench to being a 3-hitter. And it was just from literally working through the fundamentals. I think we hit off of a tee and did flat glove work and did throwing drills. And that literally took her from being one of the bottom girls on the roster to one of the best 3, just focusing on the fundamentals for 3 to 6 months. And that's what a lot of these kids don't even do. And a lot of these coaches are, I put the onus a lot on the coaches, but as a kid, when you hear these kind of things, you're like, I got to start taking some onus in my own career if I want to get better and make it to the next level. And the girl who reached out to me, Molly, is definitely one of the biggest, like, she asks questions and she asks the right kind of questions. She always wants to get better, whether it's as a student or as an athlete. And I know it's why she asked me that question in the first standpoint, because she does want to get better, because she does want to ensure she has the best possible opportunity to make it to the next level. Because she's not a 5'10", 175-pound girl who's probably going to be going to Tennessee or Oxford to play. But it doesn't mean there isn't a place for her to play at the next level and excel and thrive. And that's 100% what I count on her to do, as well as a lot of young ladies and young gentlemen when they get the proper help.
Yes.
But man, we'll go ahead and wrap up this show. It was a good one. It was a fun one.
Yes.
Like I said, we'll follow up with a baseball/softball. We'll call it a Diamond IQ show coming in the future. We'll get around the
I like
diamond a
it.
little bit, but we'll wrap this week up, man. I hope you have a good week, and we'll follow up. We'll both be cheering on the Florida Gators going into
Yes, sir.
this championship game tomorrow, and hopefully the baseball guys keep treating us right and keep giving us some explosive games and plays coming into the season. And hopefully, I'm right about Mike Trout by the end of the season.
I hope so.
All right, brother.
Appreciate it.
Peace.
See ya.